Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you the tutorial for the 2-pocket window ID holder snap tab version. This was inspired for somebody wanting it for their work ID, but it can be used for many other things as well, and they wanted 2 pockets to be able to put credit cards or business cards behind their ID. So today we're going to get started and show you what you need from start to finish to make your pocket window ID holder. Okay, these are the materials we're going to need to make our 2-pocket window ID holder snap tab version. So I've got my instructions typed out for me, printed, and it's got all my dimensions on it. So out of the one piece, which happens to be an 8 by 10, I was able to get all 4 pieces out by cutting it a certain way, so it gets all 4 pieces out. So we have 2 vinyl pieces that are 3 1/4 by 7. We have our 1 pocket piece, which is 3 1/4 by 3 3/4, which will be our inside pocket. And then we have the vinyl piece for our outside pocket, which is going to have the window. And this piece is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And I was able to cut this down to 4 1/4 to be able to get all 4 pieces out of my vinyl. So it'll fit just right, just close enough. And then we have our clear piece, which happens to be the 12 gauge, so you can use 12 gauge or 16 gauge, so it's very thin, and you want to make sure that this is cut exactly to the measurements that are on the instructions. You don't want too much hanging over because you don't want to have to sew through that many layers of vinyl. So the clear window is your vinyl piece that's 3 3/4 by 2 1/2, and that's going to be sewn with the 1 pocket in our first hooping. You'll need 2 pieces of your tearaway stabilizer, 5 by 7 hoop. We're looking at one set of cam snaps, our D-ring lobster claw, which will be for the snap tab part, our cutting utensils, and I use the small 4-inch curved scissors to cut for the window to get that piece out. We'll need tape to go ahead and tape it to our stabilizer and our cutting. So we're all set. We'll take everything to the machine and I'll meet you over at the machine. So we have our stuff here at the machine now. I have my pattern already in my machine ready to go. What I have done, because I utilize everything I do, minimum, maximum space, minimum waste of anything, is I've taken the pattern and I've moved it all the way to one side of my frame, my 5 by 7, and today I'm going to end up doing 2 of the little window parts to utilize my stabilizer so I don't waste anything. So what I've done is when it comes, it's going to be right in the center, but once I put it into my machine, I've actually scooted it all the way over to my left. You can do either way, your right or left, depending on your machine, if you're top or bottom, if it goes into your machine this way. I have a multi-needle, so it goes in this way. So I'm going to move it all the way to my left and then leave it there, and what I can do is just flip my frame and sew on the other side of my stabilizer. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is stitch out step 1 and 2, and I'm using black on the green so you can see, as well as I think the black on the green looks cool anyway. So we'll stitch out step 1 and 2. So I've stitched out step 1 and 2, which are placement lines. It's stitched on the stabilizer. My first piece I'm going to lay down is my piece of vinyl. It's really small. Make sure it's just enough over those. You don't want to be too far over your guidelines. It's really hard to see because it's clear, but I don't want too much over, because what's going to happen is it's going to sew, and I don't want it to sew on so many layers of vinyl. You don't want the machine to have to try to penetrate that much. With a multi-needle, it's a little more sturdier and stronger, and I can punch through it. But on the single needles, we want to make sure you're minimal on your vinyl. So I'm going to tape the just at the bottom, the corner, and just at the top, because it's going to sew over that line again. So I have my clear on, put it back in the machine. take it out of the machine. Take my tape off. And that tacked down our clear vinyl. And our next will be going to be the larger of the two small pieces. I forgot the size, I don't have the paper with me. So we're just going to set it in our guidelines. Like I said, if you cut the pieces right, it'll go right inside. Interesting. And we're going to tape down again. Little corners here. So this last step is going to do our window, and it's going to do our top little hem seam. So, back in. And we're all finished. We'll see you at the, whoops, do my next one. Here's my tape again. And I'm going to actually switch my color to brown. Alright, we're all set, and I'll meet you at the cutting table. I got 2 and 1 hooping. Alright, now we're going to prepare our first piece, which is going to end up going on the second hooping. So we need to make sure this is ready and prepped and cut out. So we're going to remove all our stabilizer. This is our top hem stitch that I was talking about when you read the directions. So it's called the hem stitch, and we're going to cut like 1/8, quarter inch at the most. You don't want to go too far. It's just enough to keep it from being the top of the pocket from fraying. So 1/8. I measure and I use my rotary best I can with a cast. Sorry. There we go. So it's just right there at 1/8 on the top of that hem stitch. All right, and then I'm going to cut this little pocket out, or the window portion of it. So with my little scissors, the smaller ones with a pointy is going to be your best bet. I would not try to use the bigger scissors. It's just going to be too much and you're not going to get a nice edge. So you can either start in the middle. I'm going to end up using this as a scrap. The more practice you have, the better you'll be. So I'm just going to do a slight little hole, and you want to keep it at an angle so you don't go through to the clear. I've left this on for now so that as I'm cutting I can actually see what I'm doing. So I'm going to start, and I don't want to snip it all the way through yet. I'm just going to start, and that's how you get nice edges, is by not snipping. And you're just going to do small tiny cuts, and you're going to keep your edge. If you have a good pair of scissors, it starts to go kind of smooth through your vinyl. So in the beginning it's a little bit tight until you actually get you know, like 1 or 2 sides done, then it loosens up. So I'm going to do just small cuts, and I'm going to keep my scissors close up into my vinyl. You don't want to like pull it out and snip and snip. You just want to keep it up there tight. As you cut, as you release, glide your scissors up into your vinyl, and then to get a sharp corner, that's when you'll do your last snip. We'll turn it. Always turn your project, not your scissors. I'm doing pretty good with a cast on, sorry. And this new vinyl that I got is actually pretty nice. It's kind of, my scissors are gliding through it. It's not real thick, it's kind of thin, so it's kind of good for this project because you'll be sewing through 3 different layers. So it's a really neat, it's the backing, I know it's kind of weird. It's like foam, kind of, a vinyl foamish, weird. It's really weird, but it's really neat and it's pliable, it's fun to work with. So this is a new vinyl from a company, and all the information will be down below if you have questions. And we're almost done. Snip. So you get your nice window cut out. Very easy. I did not cut through my clear vinyl, so it's good. And we can go ahead and tear our piece out. See? We're all good. So this is our first hooping for the outside of the window pocket, and we're ready to go back to our machine and hoop the second hoop, which is the rest of our pocket. First thing, once I have it loaded, I'm going to frame it. I'm sticking with the black, and at this point I've changed my bobbin to black also, so that when we sew out the last step, both bottom and top will be in black. So this is where you want to make sure your top and bottom threads are both the same color. I'm going to place our vinyl. I'm going to use a tacky spray. So it's a basting spray is what I'm using. I'm just going to use a regular basting spray. It's just a quick couple sprays on it, nothing too much. And I'm going to line it up, make sure it's covering both sides and even. This one's just a little bit longer because it happened to cut longer out of that 8x10. Tack down. If you don't do that with the spray, just go ahead and tape it down in the corners with your tape. Put it back in. Sew out the next step. It's going to be outlining on our vinyl. Okay, take it out of the hoop. And we're going to take our next piece. This is our 3 1/4 by 3 3/4 piece. And we'll make sure we're on the right distance here. And we're going to measure from the top of the ID holder. We're going to measure from the top. We're going to go a 1/2 inch down below this line. So I want to make sure I'm set up. There we go. And 1/2 inch there, and I'm going to tape it. We don't spray this one, we just tape. And I know nothing's going to go here, so I'm just going to tape it right up here. There's no sewing. What this is going to do is just sew down a little line, which is going to stop the pocket. People ask why that little line is there if it's needed. And I don't bring my vinyl all the way down, so it's just less. This part won't be seen. You're going to have a card in there. And that way you don't have a whole lot more down at the bottom for bulkiness when you put your card in. I'll show you that. So I just tape it, and it's going to sew a line across the bottom here for the pocket, for the cards behind the window. Alright, the next thing, I'll take that tape off of this piece. Oh, we can leave it for now, sorry. We're going to flip our over the hoop. Let me get my scissors here. And I'm going to cut some of the threads away. That'll be bulky. I don't want them sticking out when I go to cut it. And looks like I might have it revised. And this is where I also take my lighter, and I just cinch the ends at the corners there just to tuck them in, keep them put so they're not sticking out. Kind of helps keep them from not undoing as well. Just a quick, nothing long, so you don't burn anything. So on the back side, I'm going to put my other piece, the 7-inch piece. This one I'm also going to spray. Quick spray. If you don't want to use spray, you can tape it as well. Sometimes certain vinyls don't take spray very well, so I do both spray, and I'll tape the corners down just a little bit to keep it. There we go. Flip it over. Make sure it's secure. Alright, so I've got the bottom piece on. I'll do that first. And now I'm going to add my window part. So this is where I take the tape off. And keep our tape, because I'll be using it. And the hem part up here is where it's going to be the top of your wallet. And we're going to measure 3/4 of an inch from the top. So from that top line again, we're going to push it up to 3/4. 3/4. And you want to make sure that that hem line across the top is going to be centered between your lines coming down. You want to make sure that this, sorry, make sure I'll get closer here for you. So this is what it'll look like placed on it, 3/4 of an inch down. And this hem line, which is what I'm calling a hem line, you want to make sure that it's centered between the wallet here. So we're going to line it up so that it just is at the end, matching that, and I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch from here to the top of the pocket. A little different. Not easy with a cast, sorry. Tape. I put my tape on all of these pockets right here on the top. Make sure we don't get on this line. Sorry. I'll tape across the top of the pockets, but you want to stay below this line because we're going to sew this line, and it's going to sew all around the bottom. I'm going to tape my corners, all my corners down to be secured. And you want to be right off to the edge of it so you don't stitch through your tape. I'll show you. So I've secured it with tape across the top, not on this line, and around the corners just to make sure your window pocket. Now once you get the ID or a card or whatever you're going to put in here, this line, you're obviously not going to see this, so don't have to worry too much about that line. So we have our bottom on secure and our top in our pockets, and this will be our last step. Back in. Always check underneath to make sure your vinyl didn't move underneath, and we're ready to go. And we're all set. All finished. Always make sure, always make sure that your bottom has sewed out properly, that it didn't shift on you or anything. All stitches are good. Top, and we're all set. Meet you at the cutting table. Now we're going to unhoop it, tear away our stabilizer. I'm going to cut around it with my rotary and my straight, or you can use scissors if you don't have the straight and a rotary. And I'm going to cut about 1/8 around it. That's what I cut usually. And I'll use scissors for the other part. And it's got at least some squared corners, so you don't have to try to get the round corners on it. And there we go, we've got it all cut out. First pocket and our window pocket. Now we're just going to apply the snap. Take our awl. Some have the crocodile, some have the awl. Either one you can use works. And I'll put the other one here. And then with the D-ring, you always want to put that on first, just in case, because sometimes once that snaps on, you can't get the D-ring on there, so you want to put the D-ring lobster claw on there first. And we've got our snaps. And you push the vinyl down in the back. That's how I do it, to make sure it's in there and the prong is sticking out really good. And I really push down that vinyl so the prong sticks out. Once again. And that's the snap. And then I'm going to show you how the snap is applied on my press. We'll go over to that. Okay, now we're at our snap press to add our snaps. And I usually put the female at the bottom and the male at the top. Make sure our snap stays good. And we're perfect. Okay, now that we have the snap on, that was our final step. Snap works great. Little 2-pocket window ID holder snap tab version. This is the vertical. I'm also going to be making a horizontal, so keep an eye out for that. And this was inspired by somebody wanting it for their ID for work, and then to be also having I should say, like their business cards in the back side of it. So that was the inspiration of having the 2 pockets for this, for their ID. And the one has, it sticks out. The other one, pocket actually goes down in so nothing comes out or falls out or can be pulled out, and it stays. Another idea for it could be like your theme park ID, your ticket. And you can leave it in there on the other side. That way you don't have to get it out, take it out. You already have it. You just let it scan. So there's so many different ideas of what to use it for. And very simple, 2 hoops and you're done. So if you have any comments, you liked it, give me a good thumbs up, subscribe, ring that bell, and that way you'll get more notifications when I come out with more videos. Thanks for watching.